Hey guys, and welcome out to another episode of the Pod of War Gamescast. I'm your host, Ewe Gizmo, joined this week, as I always am, by the biggest dog, the Premier League champion. It's, of course, Massive That's Chris Pengeli.
Hello, everyone.
Not representing the Man City shirt today. Obviously, I am a very happy man in my Leeds shirt. Don't you worry. And also celebrating today with the big return to Europe, that is, of course, CW Lanky and his Arsenal. Pleased, Craig? Very pleased?
I mean, Arsenal just existed today, didn't they? They just they were just part of it, I guess. Just part of the fun.
Got a 5-1 and made sure Ramsdale didn't get his clean sheet bonus. So everyone's a winner, Craig. Everyone's a winner. So another week has gone by in the video game world. Not a huge amount has happened this week, I don't think. I think we had a 505 showcase that was predictably terrible.
It was terrible. Yeah. I watched it, and it was bad.
How long was it?
It was only like half an hour. They showed four games, basically of nothing of all of the games, and I don't get it. Like, why have you got Why have you decided to do a showcase now when you've got nothing to show? Like, I could understand a few years ago when they like published Control or something. You know, we got something to. It's like, why? Why are you doing this?
And one day you will learn, Pingles. One day.
Outright Games had one as well, but I didn't watch theirs. And obviously they announced like a load of like the kids' games, like a new Dragons game and stuff like that.
Excellent Paw Patrol. News. Put as another Paw Patrol racer that everyone's making a racer now. But Outright Games aside, what have we been playing? What have we been buying? I think Chris has probably bought something, so we're going to start with Craig Warren.
Buying nothing. Always good. Playing, I finally finished Cyberpunk. I think I was about 41 or 42 hours in the end. I think I got the best ending you can get, I reckon. I haven't really researched it. I basically got the Nomad ending, which I think you can only unlock if you do like a fair amount of the side quests. So I got that one. Really like the game, actually. In fact, the more I played of it, the kind of more hooked I was, the more hours I was just kind of plowing into it. And I like it's weird in that game because you play it and it's so easy to forget that like Keanu Reeves is in that game so much. Like, it's so cool that you just forget it after like the first hour. But yeah, he is awesome in that game, and his character's great. Whole main story is really good, and like the side quests are great. I did get a huge amount of bugs, like, to be fair, like once I got rolling in the game. I think I had most of them in my like trial at the start, but kind of enjoyed that game maybe more than I thought I was going to. I would definitely recommend it, and it's like in its current state, it's fine. It's, you know, it's not The Witcher 3, but it's not terrible. It's fun and worth like buying for like £20 or however much it is you can get nowadays. I've not sold mine either because I mean, at some point in 2036, you might get this DLC that they were on about. Who knows? Who knows? Other than that, I've been playing Cyberpunk for like a couple of months on the Xbox. I haven't played any of the new stuff on Game Pass. So I had a bit of a Game Pass backlog building up. So I thought I'd start with the one that's like come out the newest. So I played Trek to Yomi and beat Trek to Yomi. I completed the trek.
Did you get to Yomi?
You do. It's an incredibly pretty game. Looks beautiful. The black and white. The sound is also really good on it as well. So you use like a decent pair of headphones when you're playing it. Very brutal game. Pretty dark. It's definitely not a feel good experience. You know, you're not going to be smiling all the way through it. Quite a bit of, like, gore and that, which is, you know, everyone loves a bit of that. Kind of starts off in your it's not really spoiled to say, but you kind of get like your little town in like feudal Japan gets attacked by bandits, and you do the first couple of levels and you're in these towns that are kind of like burning and falling to pieces as to getting attacked. And I was thinking like, I hope the next levels do something different. I don't want to just be in these towns like the whole time. I was like, maybe we'll get some like mountain levels or in a forest or in a beach or something. Yeah. It kind of goes like a bit mental, and it actually goes a bit like kind of a bit like you actually go to like Yomi, and it's all very like not real, and is it real? And it kind of went the way that I was definitely not expecting it to go. Actually, I think it's kind of worse for it as well. I thought it was better when it was, stayed in some form of reality than trying to do all the other stuff it does. But it's a fun enough game. The combat can be a little bit finicky, but it's not too bad. It can be quite challenging in some places. And there's one boss in particular. I think it's like chapter 6, the end boss in chapter 6. It's just a big bastard, just a big horrible bastard. Took me quite a few attempts. A lot of swearing. Got there in the end though. So it's a fun one. I think it came to pretty much everything. I don't know if it came to Switch.
No, it didn't come to Switch.
Didn't come to Switch, but it came to everything else. And obviously, it was Game Pass day one, so I'd recommend giving it a go on Game Pass. I don't know how much it is to buy, but yeah, I think it took about 6.5, 7 hours. So it's a fair, it's decent length, and doesn't overstay its welcome too badly. And then, other than that, the only other game I started, I played, I don't know, like an hour and a half, I'd say, is Bugsnax, which obviously also came to Game Pass. This was a PS5 launch title, right? And it was was it the Plus game for launch?
Yeah.
So it's done both. It's just all in on the subscription services. They just want that easy money, don't they? They ain't worried about sales. They just want that money up front. And I played this. I kind of expected this to be like a meme game. I was like, oh, it's just going to be. This is not going to be very serious. A little kind of okay meme game. It's kind of surprised me so far. It's actually pretty well made. Even the voice acting in it's really good. It's quite a pretty game. The actual Bugsnax themselves are quite cute, quite adorable. They all kind of talk themselves and say their names in silly ways, and they're all very silly. And the whole thing is just a bit of a silly.
Bunga.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just fun. It's just fun to play. It's quite simple. You are literally just catching these Bugsnaxers. You kind of have a Metroidvania kind of style system where you have different tools to catch them, and they'd be at the start, some of them I can't catch them because I don't have the right tools. I'm imagining I'm going to get them, and I'll be able to go back and catch them once I have the abilities and the tools that I need. So yeah, I've kind of been enjoying that a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a bit of a meme game, but it's much better than that. So yeah, that's it for me so far.
Hell yes. And obviously you're going to have the Bugsnax theme song in your head for the rest of time.
Yeah, I think they did DLC as well, didn't they? But I don't think the DLC's on Xbox yet. I had a little look on True Achievements.
I thought the DLC came straight away with the Xbox version and the Switch version when they both released at the same time, and PS4 and 5 just got an update.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's built in. I don't know.
But that's what I thought when it came to those two systems. So
yeah, I couldn't see any separate achievement lists. Normally on True Achievements, it breaks down DLC achievements. So maybe it's all just mixed in.
Yeah, it might have been chucked in.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely stuff, Craigo. Well, a nice simple week for Craigo. And I'm sure we're about to have a nice simple week from Massive Das Chris Bengali. So Chris, how many games have you bought this week, and what games have you played?
All right, do you want to go? All right, so it came yesterday, but it's not. Well, it's been out for ages, but the physical version doesn't come out till Tuesday. But I have my physical here, and that's Eastward on the Nintendo Switch. So I got that, which is cheaper physical than it is digitally as well. So there's a top tip for you. It's not a code thing. It's an actual cartridge. Even come with some stickers, so get excited for that. So I got that. Then I have got Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy on the original Xbox, because it's a backwards compatible game, so it goes into the list of original Xbox games that are playable on the Xbox One Series X systems, not S because there's no disk drive. And then I got a PS2 game, which I actually never seen before, and I thought, Square Enix, that character looks also familiar. And yes, it is designed by Nomura, obviously, with that character. But it's Musashi, Samurai Legend, and it's actually the sequel to Brave Fencer Musashi. So, yeah, got that. So that is my games pickups.
Please tell me you played some of that PS2 game. I'm intrigued.
I have not. I put it in, seen if it worked, and that was it. That's what I did yesterday.
Your homework for next week, because you need to at least play a couple of hours of this. I want to know what this is.
It's like a shell-shaded action RPG thing, and like I said, the character is that looks a bit like a Sora or a bit like the character in Bouncer, and then it's came around Google. It's like, yeah, Tetsuya Nomura was like creative something on it. And it's like, yep, of course, that makes total sense now. So that's what I picked up, and then I've been playing basically only two things: Switch Sports. So still playing some Switch Sports. I've got because once you get like 100 points, like you get like 30 points for a win. If you get a strike in a bowling, you get 10 points. You get 100 points, you unlock a cosmetic. So I've got all the football cosmetics that they've got. I've got the one where you can get the weird squirrel costume and stuff. And I got all that. So it's now getting all the weird goth costumes that they've added and stuff like that. So yeah, just been playing Switch Sports. I just putting it on random and see what happens. And while playing that. And then the only other thing I've played apart from Switch Sports is My Name is Mayo 3, which came out this week on PS4. Obviously, it's playable on PS5 via backwards compatible if you've got PS5. So played that. It's actually like 2 hours long, which you go, oh, it's a meme platinum game, which most of them I've played are like 4 minutes long. It's actually like 2 hours, and it has a story mode on this, like Mayo's father dies and stuff like that, and he goes on this little journey and stuff like that, where you tap in the jar of mayo for 8,000 taps or whatever it is to get your platinum trophy, and that's it. That's what I've been playing and picking up. Not a huge week, really.
So you're still just pressing A again, I assume.
Yeah, you're just pressing X, or you can press the touch thing. I think so. If you press them both together, you can do quicker. Because you do one and the other, so you just go like this touchpad and the X button, and yeah. But then you get and every time you go you do 100 things, you get a bit of a fact up and a bit of story coming up. The Mayo has a girlfriend and stuff like that, and you can obviously the girlfriend wants some of the Mayo's white stuff, as you can gather, and it gets a bit saucy with the story.
Of course, Chris is playing perverted mayonnaise games.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, the second one actually had a story as well. It's only literally the first one that doesn't, and then they added a story to the Mayo games, which continues, from the second one all the way to the third until the end. And that's the My Name is Mayo trilogy done now.
I love that. I mean, I can't wait for the review that Chris is going to do, talking about the story, the big breakdown.
Yeah,
so that's going to be fun. Do not be alarmed that my face has disappeared. I have just started having a nosebleed, so I figured the world doesn't need to see that.
Oh,
so
not good.
Just stuffed in my face. It's just the excitement of Leeds staying up, Pengy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So as for me, I obviously haven't bought anything because I'm not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And as for games played, I completed Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which has been in my backlog for a little while. It was a PS Plus game a couple of years ago. I started it, wanted to finish it as a way to sort of get my completion percentage back up on PlayStation, and I really enjoyed it. I forgot how great that campaign is, and how good Call of Duty used to be in general, and it was a fun time. There were some missions I completely forgot were in that game. The big ones I remembered, but then there were some I was like, oh yeah, you do that, that's fun, which was cool. I forgot to mention last week as well that I did actually finish I Am Setsuna.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's another one from my big backlog list. It was a relatively enjoyable game. Kind of dark, kind of boring in places. But it was kind of pre the sort of Octopath reinvention that Square's been doing. So it very much feels like a starter point for that, if that makes sense.
I don't know what Tokyo RPG Studio were working on, because the last game was Unikin or something like that, where you had where you had to get the characters from the Dark World with the souls and stuff like that, and that wasn't very good. And I think the one before that, Lost Sphere, wasn't very good either. So
yeah, it was.
I'm going to make a prediction.
What's that?
The next game it's not very good.
The next game is going to be a JRPG.
Yeah, I mean their whole point of existence was to do modern spins on classic Square games. So they were Chrono Trigger and stuff like that. And obviously that's now been eradicated by the sort of the Octopath Traveler team instead. So I can't see them. If they make another game, it's going to be a mobile game, I think. I think the Octopath Traveler team and the Project Triangle team are basically the new let's make a game that's old but new team at Square. I mean, that's kind of half of what Square does anyway, right? It's just remakes all their games. So, but there we go, boys and girls. So speaking of specific game studios, Craig, that's a segue. We're going to move on to our topic of the show. Tots. So this week, we've not ripped off anyone else, obviously. But Craig has tasked us with thinking about 5 game studios that we like. Not the best, because obviously you can't be objectively best, Chris, no matter what you think. So it's our 5 favourites. So we're going to start with Craig, as it was his idea. Craig, what is one of your favourite game studios?
So I thought I'd... the first one that I thought of, to me, it's the most obvious one for me. That's just Playground Games.
Nice.
Obviously, they just make incredibly good Horizon games. I've mainly been playing since 3. I think I might have played a little bit of 2, but not very much. But I absolutely love 3, 4, and now 5. Still log in every week for 5 and get my cars and do my challenges. I'm nearly up to 600 cars now, guys. I've got a problem. I'm never going to use these 600 cars. I don't need any more. I keep getting them. Keep getting them.
My God.
I'm out of control. But yeah, I just think they did such a ridiculously good job of the Horizon games of producing racing games that pretty much anyone could play and enjoy, but also being like good enough that for the more hardcore can also find some challenge and some fun there as well. Obviously, we'll get Fable at some point in the future in 2036, so that's something to look forward to, and hopefully some more DLC for Horizon 5. But to me, they were just like an obvious, like nailed-on one that kind of had to be picked for me.
I think that's a pretty good choice, and like you said, they've got Fable coming now, and I think that's going to be
potentially and they got 2 teams as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that moves them beyond just the racing game studio. But from what they've made so far, all 5 of the Horizon games and the spin-off game and all the DLC are incredible, like top tier, probably best in class. Like I find it hard to find that type of game that's better. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick, and an Xbox studio. So Craig is starting on brand with his love of the Xbox. So I'm sure that Chris is going to follow this up with a Japanese-based PlayStation-focused game studio. So Chris, what was your first pick?
No, it is Japanese-based, and if you watch Kind of Funny, they had this idea, and one of them just said Nintendo, and I was like, I might as well just say PlayStation, aren't I, in that? But really, you can think Nintendo, you think of like other their studios. One of their studios is obviously Intelligent Systems, who make the Fire Emblem games, which are like one of my favourite series on Nintendo now since, Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS. I've got like a pretty decent Fire Emblem collection. Like I've got the 2 really expensive games on Cube and Wii, and that, and like again, like I said, when people think Nintendo, they just go Nintendo as a broad, entity where I've gone down right, who makes what and stuff, and Intelligent Systems is the one want to point out with that.
Yeah, they've got a pretty good track record. They did make other games. Did they make Advance Wars originally?
Yeah, they've made other things. They have done other stuff like that, but obviously they're mainly known as the Fire Emblem Studio. Yeah.
It's tough with Nintendo because, like, when you think Nintendo, you think of their AEG teams. But obviously, that's from a time where studios weren't really named. But, Intelligent Systems are a good studio. They're arguably one of the best that Nintendo have.
It is tough with the Japanese kind of, like, publishers and that as well, because a lot of their games just come out under, like, Nintendo or Capcom and that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know which team or whatever's made this, so it's hard to tell a lot of the time.
Yeah,
especially for someone like me who just doesn't have the knowledge.
Yeah, they sometimes will have the directors, but they won't specifically have team names, which can be.
Yeah, at least like this, it does actually. I think it does actually say it's Intelligent Systems on the back. But like I said, watching a Kind of Funny one, and like they were just like naming it, and they go Fire Emblem, Zelda, Mario, and Mario Strikers. I'm like, that's next level games, not Nintendo themselves. So.
Are you suggesting that games journalists don't know what they're talking about, Chris?
Nah, I didn't say that.
I love that. Well. Moving quickly on before we get shut down by all of the fanboys. My pick is a studio owned by Sega, with a consistent track record for making my game of the year every year, and that is, of course, Sports Interactive.
Okay.
Who are an excellent game studio, who, of course, made the Football Manager and the Eastside Hockey Manager series, amongst others, Craig. And they're just a very consistently good studio. They make their one game and they make it incredibly well. Like, it's one of those things, like, I think sport games are hugely disrespected when you think that they have to have a 1 year turnaround no matter what. So it's very hard to implement new features and new things, but Sports Interactive continually makes the game better. It does better in sales every year. It's one of Sega's best studios, and I haven't yet to play a Football Manager game where I've not been at least enjoyed it, you know? So, shout outs to Sports Interactive.
Nice.
Hell yeah, Grego. So, what's your next one?
Next one I'm going to go for is Remedy. The studio that, like, mainly for the last 3 games for me, I didn't play in the Max Payne, well, the Remedy Max Paynes anyway. But ever since like Alan Wake, really enjoyed their games. I think Quantum Break was pretty like underrated, I think, for
So
what it did.
underrated, man. It's such a good game.
It's crazy how good the TV parts of that game were. Go back and play it. Like, I thought it would be so naff. I thought the acting would be terrible. And you watch it, like, oh, this is actually they've actually put some real effort into that. And Control, I think, like, is like ridiculously good for the last game. Really stylish. Like, the fact they managed to make a game like based in like an office block basically, and yet it's like so pretty and it's like so artistic and so stylish and like interesting. I kind of think it just like shows how talented they are. They like Control has one of my favorite levels ever. They have great like choices of musics in their game, with the prog rock and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they do a good job of making games that are kind of like weird, but they're not like just weird for the sake of being weird. They don't just get lost in their own like weirdness. They kind of actually kind of tie it into something that's like plausible.
That's a certain Japanese developer, but,
yeah, we'll get there soon, I'm sure.
I'm sure Chris will get there, yeah.
But yeah, I just think they make consistently great games. I can't wait for Alan Wake 2. It's big fan of the first one.
They got so many games on the go. That's my only like. I love Remedy. My only real worry with them is they've got like 5 games to announce. So like, have they got their fingers in too many pies?
Yeah, and obviously Crossfire X's campaign didn't do great numbers. Remedy's.
I think that was just a cash in for them. That was just. I imagine they got paid a lot of money to just make that.
Bought by Sony.
Pardon?
Is Remedy being bought by Sony?
No. No, the Epic's got some sort of stake in them.
Oh, okay.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, Remedy's a funny one for me because I'm the complete opposite of Craig. So I've played Max Payne 1 and 2, and I've played Quantum Break, but I've not touched Control. I haven't played the sort of weird sequel that Alan Wake had, and obviously I haven't played Crossfire X. So yeah, so they're a good studio. They've always been a good studio, and they like Craig said, they're a little different. They like their kind of dark noir sort of movie style stuff, which is cool. But yeah, it's a good studio.
Yeah, sure.
Pengi, back to Japan. What are we looking at?
It is back to Japan. I got a studio that was a studio, but is now also a studio, and they've got exactly the same name as well. And that is obviously Kojima Productions.
That's one for the bingo, Craig. Tick it off.
Yeah.
We kind of got to. I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so I've put Kojima Productions as in pre-Death Stranding Kojima Productions, but it is exactly the same team.
You may combine the two, Chris.
He took everyone.
Do that in a minute anyway.
He literally took everyone with him, so it is the same team, obviously.
Let's be honest, it's just Kojima you love. It's the cult of...
Yeah. So obviously the original Kojima Productions, they did like all the Metal Gear Solid games and that, which obviously I loved, are in like my top, 10s and stuff, and games of all time. They obviously worked on things like Bogota, Zone of the Enders as well, and obviously Snatcher, Police Noughts and stuff like that. It's actually a huge back catalogue of games from Kojima Productions, and then obviously you got Death Stranding now with like the new iteration. Looks like Death Stranding 2 as well, if Norman Reedus is, saying the right things in interviews. That's happening. So yeah, Kojima Productions.
I have nothing to add because
no, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Not a big Metal Gear Solid fan, so but there we go. We knew it would come. We've got it out of the way quite early.
Excellent.
So for something completely different from your boy Dave, my favourite series, similar in Chris's, that it used to be called something else and is now sort of been reborn. and that is Vigil Games / Gunfire Games, who are the creators of Darksiders.
Okay, yeah.
So a studio, their main games have been Darksiders and the Kronos series. They've worked on other smaller, like they've had smaller parts in other games, which I won't really count, but they've done some of that kind of work. But what I really like about Vigil Games / Gunfire Games is they have a really unique art style for their games that are kind of like loosely fantasy, but also loosely realistic, which I quite like. I think the Darksiders series is hugely underrated. All 4 games, I personally think, are good games. And obviously they're part of the THQ goodness that I so enjoy as part of my middle of the road AA publishing shenanigans.
I heard you're a huge fan of the Embracer group.
I love the Embracer group. I'm looking forward to the Embracer console, the Embracer box coming out in 2024. But yeah, of those type of games, I mean, I almost went for Syndicate Airship, which have worked with Gunfire Games on Darksiders Genesis. No, sorry, Battle Chasers Night War and the League of Legends, what's it called, the Ruined King. But they're a bit too niche, and I haven't played the Ruined King enough to sort of judge. But yeah, Gunfire Games, I think, like I said, if you haven't played the Darksider games, I think they're pretty good AA games. So yeah, bit
Nice.
interesting, bit different to Kojima Productions because they've made good games. But Craigo, number 3 for you, my boy.
So this is one that it's not a trendy pick, but if I didn't pick them, I would be a fraud. I don't want to be a fraud, Dave.
No,
I'm better than that. It's Infinity Ward. I always used to be a massive Call of Duty addict, and my main days of addiction were definitely the COD 4 Modern Warfare and then Modern Warfare 2. I absolutely loved those games. Played like 22 hours of multiplayer on each of them, I think. Top prestige. Absolutely loved it. Was an absolute beast as well, I will say. God, I was a savage back then. I'm awful at shooting now, but God, back then I was good. And also their kind of reboot as well of Modern Warfare came out a couple of years ago. I didn't play much of the campaign, the multiplayer, sorry, because I'm washed up now. I can't do that. I'm too old. But the campaign was like phenomenally good. It's definitely my favorite like Call of Duty campaign ever, and it's probably one of my favorite like first person shooter campaigns like of recent times as well. It's not quite like Doom Eternal levels, but it's like it's in that next little echelon. So yeah, definitely Infinity Ward. And obviously I hope that if this Activision deal goes through, that maybe they could make a game that's not a Call of Duty. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I think that would be really cool to see them do something that's not just COD.
Very good. And yes, Infinity Ward, although they are a very different company to what they were in the heyday now, still got a good library of games. They haven't made too many bad ones, like really, like Ghosts is probably the worst game they made. But like other than that, pretty solid. Nice. So from an American first person shooter team to Chris Pengelly.
No, I've gone American this time, but not, I've gone for a Sony studio. And which Sony studio have we gone for?
I'm checking them off already, Dave.
We're going for Naughty Dog.
Hey.
Obviously, Naughty Dog.
Why did you show their worst game? You had all the games you could have picked up. You showed their worst game.
No, I picked like their best game. I picked Last of Us Part 2, their best game, which I have the console for, vinyl for, 2 different vinyls for Last of Us Part 2. It's a fantastic game, and again, they just make great games. From obviously the original 3 Crash games and Crash Team Racing and that on the PS1 were great. It was a great time back then, and then the Uncharted games, especially Uncharted 2, put the studio on the map really of like being the top tier studio that they are and stuff. And now with obviously Last of Us and Uncharted 4. They are fantastic. Like I look forward to anything that they make. I just don't get the idea of a remake this year. That seems silly. Don't do that. Do Factions 2 this year. There you go. That's it.
It does seem crazy they're gonna like remake that game when it was like remastered or remade last gen as well.
It was remastered on PS4, so.
Yeah, Naughty Dog's a weird one because they they have such a mixed bag, in my opinion. Like, I know I have an unpopular opinion, but for every Crash Team Racing and Crash Bandicoot 3 and Uncharted 2 in one hand, you have Jack 2 and 3, you have The Last of Us, you know what I mean? Like, these bad games compared to the good games, and it's just, for me, they're not what they used to. But I don't know. Naughty Dog's a weird one for me. Like, I personally think they're the worst of the big Sony studios, but they don't make games I like anymore because both the Last of Us games are. I mean, I've talked about it on the show before how absolute ass I think the first one is. So, whatever. Take my opinion, however, which way you want. Audience of the internet that probably will eat me alive for that statement, but yeah.
Don't worry, I think the second one's better, and I'll get eaten alive for that as well. So
yeah, probably it's a weird one, Naughty Dog. Like, I personally think Santa Monica, Insomniac, Sucker Punch are all better studios.
yeah, I was good. I could have put all 5 of them on here, but I thought that it makes it up a bit.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's it's your favorite, not best. Remember, so
yeah,
that's all good. Pengi, well, for my favorite of this one, number 3. It's one I actually presumed Craig would have already said. So the fact that he hasn't said it, and he said Infinity Ward instead, I'll jump in on this, and that is Respawn Entertainment, who just took the flag from Infinity Ward, and they made 2 of my favourite first-person shooters of all time in the Titanfall games, and then they went out and made probably my favourite Star Wars game of all time in Jedi Fallen Order, and they just seem to be steering EA in the direction that they should be going in. And obviously it's mostly people that used to make Infinity Ward Call of Duties, and then before that Medal of Honor Frontline. So they've got a pretty good pedigree for making incredible shooters.
Yeah, Vince Zampella still like their director, and they all
yeah,
he's
kind of taking over EA's game division at this point, right? But yeah, and obviously they've got like 3 or 4 Star Wars games in development now. So, and obviously Apex Legends came out.
You've not let me down. I was really hoping you'd say them. I was like, do I say Infinity Ward and Respawn in my 5? I was like, Dave will say Respawn. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Bail me out there.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, like they're yet to make a game that I've played that I didn't like less than a 9 out of 10. Like Titanfall 1, Titanfall 2, Apex Legends, and Jedi Fallen Order are all 9s in my sort of personal enjoyment. Like Titanfall 1 is probably the last first-person shooter I truly loved. Truly, like multiplayer wise, like I truly loved that game. So it's the reason I bought an Xbox One. I was going to buy a PS4. I played a beta for Titanfall. Had to buy an Xbox One. Like, that is the story. That is what kept me on Xbox. I've told that story in the pod many times. But yeah, cannot go wrong with Respawn Entertainment.
Even Apex, like Apex is probably my favorite of the battle royale games, and like the fact that game just kind of came out of nowhere as well. It was just
well, they got
like
left to
random,
die, didn't it? Like they didn't believe in it at all. Didn't it come out around about the same time as something like the Battlefield 5 battle royale or something?
Yeah, I can't remember.
And I remember they just threw it out. They were just like, "Yeah, this is out today," and then like it was so good and it just took off. It's crazy.
So I remember me and you got deep into that game for like the first couple of months it came out. Like we played.
Even Pengi, I think, was
Pengi was in for a lot of it. I think Pengi was in for a lot of it. It was Pengi or Pete when I think was our third most of the time. But yeah, like still, I played that game not that long ago and still great.
Still the mobile version, I think, just come out, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of those like it's going to be continually pushed now. But yeah, Respawn Entertainment. Craig, what is
the fact that they made a like a Souls-like game that all 3 of us have like played and finished and that's impressive.
Like
that's probably like one of my most anticipated games. Like that's an achievement in itself.
It is.
For my number 4, we have to say?
Number 4.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a kind of obviously one. I'm just going to say Rockstar. I know there's multiple studios in that, but I think they all kind of work together.
You mean Rockstar North? That's who you mean.
Yeah. I mean, I personally... Oh, we've lost Dave. He's back.
Back from the
I love their big games. They're like GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 are just ridiculously good. The worlds they built there are probably some of the best like open world games ever made. Even like Max Payne 3, I loved. Just playing as drunk Max, depressed Max was awesome. It's a really good game. And GTA 3 as well was another one of those that I really liked from back in the day. I love the fact that they kind of have this kind of like blockbuster styles of their games where they take like 8 years to make a game, but then it comes out and it's like incredible, and it's like the biggest launch of the time. I think GTA 5 is it the biggest multimedia launch ever when it came out. I don't know if it still holds that record.
It's something.
But if it does,
put it that way.
I'm sure the thing that beats it will be GTA 6 when we get that in 2047. So, yeah, for me, they're just an obvious one. Like, I know they're kind of, again, it's not a particularly trendy one, but their games are so good, and there's a reason why people will still play GTA 5 to this day. And that it's on its third console generation now.
Hell yeah. Love that. Well, Pengy.
Yep. I'm surprised. I thought you were going for this one when you said, well, when you were going Sega owned, but I've gone a bit more, with my Nintendo one. I didn't go directly just for Atlas because that was just too easy, and I could have shot. I've gone for P Studio. Yes, P Studio, who made games like Catherine, but obviously better known for the Persona series as well. So, yep, that is one. Like, I could have gone Atlas as a whole, because normally on the box it just says Atlas, but obviously P Studio is the ones that make the Persona series and that, which is fantastic, series. Like, if Persona 6 came out tomorrow on the Amico or something, I would be buying an Amico. That's, that sort of thing.
Well, I think we're 4 for 4 in the Pengy bingo card, Craig.
We are. We're doing great, Dave. Chris Bagelli is the most predictable man on the planet, and we're just rolling strike after strike here, Dave. We really are.
Yeah, but really, did you have Intelligent Systems and P Studio? You had Nintendo and Atlas, didn't you?
I mean, P Studios is Atlas. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but they don't make. They only make Persona and
Catherine. I've ever heard anyone say P Studios.
Yeah. But, Atlas, like Shin Megami Tensei is also Atlas, but, it's not the P Studio team. It's different development teams, so.
You've been told, Craig.
Yeah.
My only concern was this one, is that maybe Dave would have it, and then you wouldn't be able to say it. That was my only worry.
Yeah, that's why I thought Dave definitely, because Persona 4 Golden is his favorite game of all time.
I still wouldn't. I wouldn't pick a studio on one game. It'd be at least 2 games.
Yeah.
At least 2. Well, they're P Studio. They make good games. So
yeah,
if you like Persona,
and I picked their most obscure one. Like Catherine was their last game that they did before they got called P Studio. Otherwise, they were just like Atlas Team Number 7 or something like that. And then when they made like Persona 4 and Persona 3, and then they made Catherine, and then they became actual P Studio. So
there you go. Now you know, Craig.
Yep. Now you know.
So, for my 4th pick, we are going to stay in Japan.
Nice.
For my Japanese pick. And that is Platinum Games. Who, of course, made Bayonetta 1 and 2, Nier Automata. They made Astral Chain. They made The Wonderful 101. They made Star Fox Zero. They made a lot of games that I've played, and I'm probably going to play more of them. You
could also bundle Clover into that, because that's Clover got.
Yeah, they did Beautiful Joe and all that stuff, and obviously they did Mega Rising. They just are the kings and. There's no one makes them better. Like arguments could be made for Capcom's Devil May Cry team. Like I would happily say they're probably up there, but for just well, you guys have gone silent now. Why have you guys gone silent? Hang on, what's going on here? So what's
Clover Studios as well.
I
was like, Beautiful Joe. We lost you, so I started talking about Clover and Beautiful Joe.
It's okay, because the viewers are going to get my audio, because my audio was working completely fine for me, but your audio just died for a second. So there we go. So let's rewind mentally to what I was going on about, and it was how Platinum are great. Chris was probably telling you how Beautiful Joe was great.
I was saying Babylon's Fall was just a great game.
I mean, they're for every one of their great games, they also do like Legend of Korra. They do take a check from time to time, like they did a Transformers game.
The Transformers game was great.
Yeah, like they hit more than they miss. And Wonderful 101 And games like that are so great and underrated. Like, oh, lovely stuff. Obviously, hopefully one day Bayonetta 3 will come out.
I didn't realise as well they made Vanquished
they did.
back in the day, which is was an awesome like Xbox 360 game.
Yeah, Kamiya is a crazy bastard. He makes good stuff.
And the fact that you two haven't played Nier Automata is still the biggest sin in gaming.
Just haven't finished them.
Yeah. I mean, it enters your consoles for a brief moment of time, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's installed on my Xbox.
Look, when it comes to Switch.
Yeah. I'm surprised that hasn't actually been ported to Switch, because obviously I think...
It's okay, Craig. Right, Craigo, pick number 5. Take us home. What's the last favourite Xbox studio?
Right, I'll take a ruling on the field on this one. I'll take a ruling. Because I know nothing about, Japanese games and Japanese developers and that. I'm just going to say Capcom. Okay. That might be cheating.
Absolutely cheating.
Yeah. Because they're a publisher.
I know. But all their games just say Capcom. And the main one to me is the Resident Evil series, which I've just become a massive Resident Evil stan now. I don't know if they have a Resident Evil team. I'll take the Resident Evil team of Capcom, if that's a thing, if that exists. Ever since like 7, for me, I've just really got into them, enjoy them all like crazy. Even 5, I love for its, it's just bonkers co-op craziness that I had back in the day. But yeah, there's pretty much my most anticipated games most years now is whatever Resident Evil which we get. I'm looking forward to DLC when we eventually get it of Village. But yeah, for me, just Capcom Resident Evil is just goodness. It's just goodness. Like I said, I have no idea who makes it within them. If it's Team 7, Team 8, Team P, Team H, who knows?
It's probably Team
but I'm just could be.
Love it. Well, I mean, obviously, Chris loves all of the games post the number that you said, so that's probably gone down well for Chris.
Yeah. Obviously. Anything before 5. Actually, 7 is good. 7 is good, and
I was going to say 7's amazing.
Yeah, 7 is good, and I played that whole thing. I played the whole 7 in VR. That's really good. 8, what I've played of 8 is or Village, as it called of is. I've done the Lady Dimitrescu bit. That's fine. What I played, I just don't know when I ever play it again.
Well, I'm hoping I never have to play again, but we'll see. But I think the only ones I really enjoyed are really like Resi 4, and I really like Resi 5. So that should tell you everything you need to know about my opinion of.
I reckon you would be a fan just because you just the Gun Survivor ones and stuff, just because you get to play with the gun professional.
Just too many
PlayStation
and jumpy scares. I don't like them.
No,
don't like them. Okay, then, Pengy, number 5 for you. I can't remember what we put down on the bingo card, but I'm sure we're about to get this.
I've got it written down.
Okay.
Right, last one is a studio doesn't right. The first 2 games they had as the studio's name, and then the third one started as the studio. Then they changed their name, and they're still that name, and they are doing a game which Epic is going to publish and stuff now. So the answer is either Team Eco or Gen Design.
We've nailed it. Let's go. 5 for 5.
Chris is wearing a Man United top to work tomorrow.
Come on.
Yeah, so I don't know which name you want to take. If you want to take Team Eco, who obviously did Eco.
We've written Team Eco down, Chris. So.
And Shadow of the Colossus, which obviously has been, released multiple times. This is the remake on PS4, which obviously are I was going to say were a fantastic studio because The Last Guardian is a bit dodgy and we don't know what their next game is going to be. We've only seen a brief concept art which has got a big gorilla and a little girl and stuff on it. So obviously you must have been watching Planet of the Apes then. I mean King Kong. You must have been watching King Kong when he come up with that concept idea. But obviously they are Gen Design now. who are partnering with Epic, so see when that game comes out. But yeah, they make two of my favorite games like ever, and obviously Shadow of the Colossus is fantastic. Hence why I've bought it 3 times and finished it 3 times. So it's that great.
Oh, I love how predictable you are, Chris. So predictable. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to have a hazard a guess who my 6 choice is, if anyone? Because I thought Dave might have had Atlas.
Square Enix. Just in general.
No, I did look at Square Enix, and it would be Creative Unit 1 who make the Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games. So, but no, it's not Square Enix. Craig, who do you think would be? It was my 6th choice.
Who else? We said Insomniac, didn't we?
Rattle.
You were on about there thinking about that.
Not Retly, because they're a publisher as well, but you know.
Don't Nod, something like
that. No, I did think of Deck 9, but they didn't go on my list. My 6th choice was Super Giant.
Okay, you make Until Dawn.
Bastion, Transistor.
Oh, okay, that's super massive.
Hades, Pia.
Which did you like Hades?
Hades, I've not got on with because it's a roguelike, but I love Bastion, and Transistor is fantastic. It was an early PS4 launch title, and it I can't recommend that enough and stuff. And the next game, which everyone forgets about, is Pyre, because it was a PS4 exclusive, and it's still a PS4 exclusive. It's never come to anything else as yet. It might be on Steam. Okay, it's only on the only console it's on. Like Hades is now on everything. You know, Bastion's on everything. It's like Bastion's even on the Vita. You know,
I played it on Vita.
Yeah, and like Transistor's on everything, but you know, Pyre is only on like the PS4, really on PS5, I guess, through Battles of Power, and that's a fantastic game. It's one of those games where if Dave actually looked at my trophy things, he'd be like, "Why have I not got the platinum for this?" A bit like Final Fantasy Type 0, because I think I got like 87 or 88% on there. It's fantastic. They are fantastic. Studio like Hades, mostly is the best roguelike. It's a roguelike. So just hope the next game is in a genre I prefer. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But obviously the main 5 were the bingo card.
Yeah, they were. We nailed it. We really did nail it as well. We really did nail it. So as for my number 5, now the honourable mentions, your Sucker Punches, Bizarre Creations, Evolution, lots of studios that are no longer with us. But when I sat down and I thought on my break earlier of what game studio do I still look forward to their games less than I used to, but how many of them are absolute bangers that I replay and I still love, and I had to go with BioWare, which seems weird to say in 2022 because obviously their last 2 games have been wank, but I'm still excited for the next Dragon Age. And I'll still be excited for the next Mass Effect. You know what I mean? So they obviously made Knights of the Old Republic. They made Jade Empire. They made Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. They made Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. They made Andromeda. They made Anthem. They made Sonic and the Dark Chronicles Brotherhood on the DS, Chris.
They made MDK2, which is on PS2 and Dreamcast.
It was indeed on the Dreamcast. And they just have provided a lot of great games over the years. Like, so the Mass Effect trilogy, the Dragon Age trilogy, and KOTOR alone, it would put it above most companies for me. Jade Empire was a great game. Me and Chris played that a couple of years ago for the original version of the podcast. And even the Sonic Chronicles RPG, which is kind of bad, I kind of like it in a weird Sonic fan kind of way, because like all Sonic games are bad, right? We just kind of have to accept that. But yeah, it's a shame that their reputation is kind of tarnished from Anthem, because I did play a couple hours of Anthem, maybe a year after it came out, and functionally
they made Anthem.
Yeah, it was functionally a pretty good game. It was just not finished and really poorly advised, to be honest. And Andromeda by the end is playable. Like, now that it's had its sort of fixes, and it's a playable game, but it's obviously not in the same stratosphere as the Mass Effect trilogy. But yeah, BioWare. Who knows? Maybe the next one they'll be back, treated some respect. Who knows?
If EA gets bought by someone like competent,
the Embracer Group
could save them. Exactly. It's our only hope.
Embrace the Box 2025. I want Darksiders characters in BioWare games.
That's Dave's demands.
That's what I demand. So that is the show. Sorry about the weirdness in the middle with the volume. I don't know. I'm recording this on a Mac. Who knows what's going on? But thank you for watching. If you like the show, drop a like. If you've got your own favourite studios you want to talk about, please put in the comments. We had quite good engagement on the Wii video I did. So I'm going to ask you, if you've got this far, go in, tell us the studios you like, tell us games that you think we should check out from those studios, because we know a lot, but we only know so much. Chris only knows Japanese meme games. Craig only knows shooters, and I'm a bit weird. So who knows? But anyway, I've been your host here of Gizmo. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from CW Lanky, who of course you can find in the streets, in the sheets, where he belongs. And of course the big dog. He'll be roaming by your anime. See you next week.
Bye.